Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are sharing the 9 safest cities to visit in retirement. And we do a lot of traveling. As you guys know, we've been traveling full time for over 6 years. We've been to over 60 countries, 5 continents, and we've had a lot of experiences in a lot of countries. And the funny thing too is that not only do we have experiences together, but I also do a lot of things off by myself as well. So I have a lot of experiences as just a woman traveling or doing activities in these places by myself.
Yeah, so we're going to attack this from our experience, how we felt, because there are definitely places where we haven't felt safe or as safe as other places. And we're going to combine that with some of the statistics that you'll see to kind of give you an overall picture of real world experience of which places are the safest, if that's a concern for you, where you should start out. And the number one place that's the safest, which I thought to myself before we visited, how could this be that safe? It's Tokyo, Japan, and after being there, it's laughable how safe it is.
It is. It's almost comical, really, when you think to yourself, okay, so we're just gonna, leave that there. I watched a couple of girls taking photos on the street. They both set their purses by the railing, and they went across to the other side. Their purses were still sitting by the railing. They went across to the other side, set up a tripod, took their photo. There was no concern. They were never looking around like, oh, I wonder if someone's going to take our purse. I wonder if someone will snatch our tripod with the phone on it. Nothing. There was no concern whatsoever. I was more worried than they were.
Yeah,
there was no need for it.
You do see it all the time where people just leave stuff, and it's like, that's a computer. That's your wallet. Like, you're just leaving it, and it's no concern. Mm-hmm. The city is just incredibly safe. You never ever feel like you're in danger. I don't know how you could possibly feel that way in Tokyo.
Right. I mean, oftentimes you'll go into restaurants and people walk in and they go, especially like a quick fast food type restaurant, not necessarily fast food, but someplace where you order, you get your food, you sit down, not like a restaurant where they take your order. You go in and people will always just set their bags down, set their computer bag down, whatever, set it down, go place their order and then come back and sit, or go place their order and wait for it and then come and sit. And sometimes the seat is not in their line of view, so they can't even keep an eye on their stuff. They never even look back.
Yeah,
which just is mind-boggling.
And you're also not even just theft. Like, if you're crossing streets, no one's gonna run a red light and hit you. No one's gonna disobey any rule. In fact, the sign could say "Don't walk," and there could be not a car coming for a mile, and you'll have like 10 people just standing there. Whereas, like, in America, we would cross even if there's like multiple cars coming at us. We just go across whenever we want. They do not break the rules at all, ever. Nobody. So if there's a rule, they're gonna follow it, and that just contributes to your safety. It's almost like surreal. It's probably the most culture shock we've ever had, because it's so different than pretty much anywhere we've ever been. And so it's amazing. You have to try it out and come try it. Number 2 is going to be Singapore. You've probably heard of Singapore being safe, and it is very safe. It does feel very safe. And you just, it's clean and safe.
Yeah, and one of the things in Singapore too is, like, we were out really late at night because we were trying to, do some photography, because there's a lot of different, light shows and things like that at night. And if you wait till later on in the evening, there's a lot less people walking around. So it's a better time to, take pictures, because you have to have less people walking around. But also that means, like, in some places it would be like, okay, well, that's less safe because now there's less people around. But I didn't even think about it at all there. And I went out a couple times myself. Absolutely no concern. I never had to look over my shoulder, and I knew people were back there, but never felt like, oh, someone's, chasing me or following me or whatever. It never felt like, you can just feel it. You have that feeling, of, hey, there might be something wrong. That's never a feeling that you're going to get in Singapore.
Next city is going to be Osaka, Japan, which all the same things that apply to Tokyo apply to Osaka. It's a little bit less clean, a little bit more gritty than Tokyo. So you do feel a little bit differently marginally, though. It's still exceedingly safe compared to basically anywhere else that we've been. So we did go try to get ball tickets at Osaka, and the line to get the tickets was going to be like an hour. It was going to be an hour until they started actually selling them. So everybody, they told everybody that, and then everyone was just like, well, I'll just leave my stuff here and we'll leave and go. So everyone just sat all their stuff in a long line and left for an hour, came back. They didn't leave like nothing. They left their bags, their purses. One guy had ordered a McDonald's meal, and he just set it on the ground to hold his spot. I was like, how do you... That just kind of blew my mind, because I was like... First of all, in America, you know someone's eating that. They're just taking that.
Or like a stray animal is going to come and eat it or something.
Something is getting that. And I'm not leaving a meal to hold my spot for an hour. Sure enough, we left. So we got a water bottle. We bought it, set it down. We weren't really willing to leave our bags because we just couldn't.
It just felt wrong.
We couldn't comprehend doing that. So we left a water bottle. Sure enough, we came back. We came back a little early even to see what would happen. And guy's meal was still sitting there. He came back an hour later. I don't really know why he wanted to eat cold McDonald's after he bought the meal an hour later, but that's another story. Anyway, that's kind of gives you an idea of just what they do in Japan. Now that we're in Japan right now, and I just think they must just be shocked when they come to America.
Yeah, that's actually just really crazy to me. And I've actually gotten into the habit of just leaving stuff. The other morning I went to a coffee shop. I wanted to just sit and read quietly. And so I walked in and I set down I put my Kindle down, to save a table for myself. I set my Kindle down and walked away and went and ordered my coffee and waited for my coffee, came back and sat down, and I sat down and it just kind of hit me. I was like, oh my goodness, like I just left my Kindle just sitting here. And I didn't even turn around. It didn't even occur to me to turn around and look to see if it was still there. I guess I just assumed it was there. I need to get out of that practice though before we go back home.
Yeah, you do.
We're going to lose all my electronics.
The next city is going to be Toronto. And I know we have a lot of Canadian viewers, so chime in the comments on this one. You may have a different opinion. I don't think Toronto is in the same league as the Japanese or Singapore cities, but it is certainly safer among the international statistics and just how we felt when we were there. Canadians are just super nice. There's no other way to say that, so I guess if something did happen to you in Canada, they would at least be nice while they're doing it to you.
Yeah. But we actually got back really late on a train ride, and we were walking, up the hill. I think we were going to the DoubleTree from the train station. So it was, a few blocks over or whatever. And it was late when we got off the train, and we walked from the train station up there to the hotel, and we probably encountered maybe like 2 people, but they were just walking around, didn't really have any issues there at all. And like you said, everybody was so nice.
Yeah, it's a great city. I want to hear what you Canadians think about it, though. What is the safest place in Canada? Because we've also been in Edmonton. That felt pretty good. People in Edmonton, though, they talked about Calgary. They were saying Calgary's not the same. So I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah, I don't know.
Next city is going to be Bangkok, and Bangkok just is another city where we had to check our thoughts at the door, because the first time we went to Bangkok, everyone was so nice and so helpful that, in America, when someone is that nice to you, you're like, you're trying to scam me. What are you trying to do? And you start like checking your wallet and like why are you talking to me like this? No, they were just being helpful.
Yeah, it was really quite wild. That's probably the one place that trained us, because that's the first place where we went where it was like that, was in Bangkok, Thailand, years ago. And that experience did definitely change our mentality and, to kind of shift into that, hey, it's okay here. And I think our second time there, we celebrated New Year's, and we went down into all of the craziness, for the fireworks, and just kind of experience it, and we went down there, took the train there. And we all had our daughter was actually visiting as well. So it was the 3 of us, went down there, did the celebration. We had our bags with us and stuff, our phones. no concern. By the time we were walking back to the train and walking off the train and to our apartment, it was about 2:30 in the morning. And not one time did we ever think, oh goodness, like look around and make sure everything's okay. Perfectly safe. And there were people out and about. It's not that there was no one out. There were people out and about. Just never occurred to think anything bad would happen.
No, I've never even thought twice in Bangkok about safety. It just feels like that's just not even a concern. So next up will be Saigon, Vietnam, and it's sort of like Bangkok, maybe just a little bit less of that feeling. I don't think it's unsafe at all. In fact, I feel safer there than pretty much anywhere in America. But I also wanted to point out that part of this list too is how welcome you feel, and the people in Saigon really made us feel very welcome.
Yeah, I was actually, a little bit nervous. Wasn't sure about what the experience would be like. This was actually the first place we visited when we went to Vietnam for the very first time, and the people there were just really kind of blew my mind again. From the moment we got there, even at the airport, the border patrol person was so nice to us. I just was so surprised, and everyone from there out and into the city, everyone was really nice. And when you needed assistance with something, they would help you out. If you were like, I don't know what I'm doing, they would help you figure stuff out. So it was really nice.
Next up is going to be Dubai, and this was another one that we just didn't know anything about before we got there. We'd heard it was fine, heard it was good, got there, and it is kind of interesting how many different cultures are present in Dubai, and I think that's something we loved about it. But you just do feel really safe in Dubai, and it's just a lovely place to be.
Yeah, it's really it is. It feels like a warm hug. And definitely warm because you're in the desert. But it just kind of feels like a warm hug. Dubai is a welcoming city, and yes, they're known obviously for the extravagance and the luxury and all that kind of stuff. But behind all of that, it is a really good, pleasant experience, and it is a very safe feeling there.
Next up will be Zurich, Switzerland, and Switzerland, they're neutral, so they kind of, and Zurich does feel like that. It does feel like nothing is going to ever happen in Zurich.
Yeah, you just again, we had a train ride that we came in real late there too with our bags, trying to find our hotel, and not once in trying to look at the GPS and stuff and figure out where we were going, not once did we ever think, oh, like should we look around and make sure we don't get jacked here, because we had all our bags and stuff and our equipment and everything with us and didn't have any trouble at all.
Yeah. Now it is interesting because this is the only European city to make our list, and if you look at the reports out there, I don't know who puts these reports out there, because one of them I read said that Bangkok was less safe than Washington, D.C. I was like, have you ever been to both of these places? Because that makes no sense whatsoever. But Europe generally scores really high on the safety meter, but it doesn't always feel safe. And so that's the difference in our real world tests versus just these lists that are out there. Because Europe does have, any place you get on a train, which is basically all over Europe, they're going to have announcements like, look out for pickpockets, and you do have those things happen. So when you're in the big European cities, you're going to be having your hand on your wallet because the train gets crowded. We've heard countless people who've been pickpocketed there. When you're in like Bangkok or Dubai, there's no announcements to look out for pickpockets. There aren't any. You could put your wallet on the floor and turn your back, pick it up 10 minutes later, it'd still be there in some of these Asian cities. So, in Japan, that would be the case. In fact, we've seen in Japan, when someone leaves something behind, someone will pick it up off the street and they'll put it in a prominent area, like on the side, and they'll all kind of leave stuff for people there. We also saw in Vietnam, rural Vietnam we were in, they had made like their own UPS system because there was no package delivery. So these buses would roll up and people would get off and they would set packages out on the curb. and the bus would take off, and then another bus would pick up, and the passengers would get off the bus, pick up the packages, put them on that bus, and they had this whole interesting, we couldn't figure out how it worked, but they were just leaving people's packages out on the curb, and I just thought to myself, I can't imagine anything like that ever happening at home or even in Europe. So it is just a different animal.
Yeah.
But Zurich does make the list because it is one that feels very safe.
Yeah.
Next up, moving, we're going to go to Abu Dhabi.
Yes, and this one is very similar to the experience in Dubai as well. You get there and you just feel like I can let my guard down. You know, I felt like that instantly walking out of the terminal. It was like, okay, well, we're good here. And you just walk around. You don't feel like you have to hold on to your bag or, like you said, you know, checking for your wallet or gripping your phone, things like that. You don't have to worry about those types of things. You know, hiding jewelry. You've had to do those things in many places, knowing that, you know, there's people that will drive up and just rip a necklace off of you or rip your phone out of your hand. You know, like you mentioned in Europe, you see a lot of people wear their phone on those little latches across, in like a crossbody, because they're going to get ripped out of their hands if they're walking in the street looking at something. So we did not have that feeling at all in Abu Dhabi. It was a very safe feeling, and it was actually a very comfortable place to be.
Yeah, and it's because partly it's because it's so beautiful. I think that kind of makes you feel safer sometimes. And there's no graffiti or anything like this, so it just gives you that kind of feeling. But these are the places that we think are the safest. If that's a concern for you, you may want to start with some of these because it's generally, you know, these big cities can be the ones that are not safe, but these here that we've listed, we've always felt nothing but safe.
Yeah, and these are all big cities. There's obviously lots of, you know, small towns and villages and things like that in all these different countries that are just as amazing. But in our personal experience, you know, if you're looking for that big city feel, these are great ones to start in, where you know that you're going to have a good overall experience and you don't have to, you know, like we said earlier, be worried about losing your things. Hopefully this was helpful to you guys. If you have any questions, leave those down in the comments, and we'll see you guys next time.